One school day in October, as I sat down to eat lunch with Mason and Kylie, I heard the usual roar of Blake Daly arriving. He does this thing when he walks in the door of the cafeteria. He calls out something like, "Booyah!" or "Incoming!" And all of the Blake Juniors and other wannabes who are already sitting at his table, he comes in late just so he can make an entrance, yell it back like it's a tribal war chant instead of some made-up bullshit from an attention-seeking jock. Today Blake yelled out, "Oh yeah!" And predictably, his band of groupies bellowed, "Oh yeah!" like they were at a rock concert or something. Besides being annoying, this whole routine is incredibly unfair. If anyone else did it, they'd get a detention for being disruptive, but not Blake. Obviously, the rules don't apply to everyone. I kept my attention on my sandwich during the Blake drama, although I was aware of him going through the lunch line and laughing a little too loudly at something the lunch lady told him. He always acted nice to the teachers and cafeteria workers, but made fun of them behind their backs. I'd encountered Blakes at other schools. I knew their ways, how they had to be the center of everything, the disdain they had for most other people. Blake had no idea what a stereotype he was. Every high school in the country had their own top dogs, all of them completely oblivious to the fact that they wouldn't be anything special once they got out in the big world. I had a sudden, amusing thought that a good idea for a movie would be to fill a stadium with every Blake-type kid from every high school in America and make them compete against each other. I was a little fuzzy on what kind of competition I'd have them do. Some sort of fight-to-the-death thing. I'd have to think about it and fill that part in later. I looked up in time to see Kylie grinning at me across the table. She peeled the top off her yogurt and laughed. Mason sat next to her, looking like he was about to crack up too. Something was funny. "What?" "We've been watching you for the last 10 minutes, and I've been waving at you." Mason smiled so widely I could see his canines. Man, he had white teeth. "When you get lost in thought, you're in another world," he said. I looked at them in mock indignation. "What's your point?" Kylie shrugged and gestured with her spoon. "You just look so cute. Did you know you have a vein in your forehead that sticks out when you concentrate really hard?" "No way." I reached up to touch my forehead. Smooth, just like I remembered. "Of course it's not doing it now," Mason said. "Only when you're doing your heavy thinking." "How much does it stick out?" I asked, concerned. One more thing to be self-conscious about. "Like this," Mason said, putting his finger against his forehead. "Only not a finger." "It's not that obvious," Kylie said. "Don't let him get to you." The subject of my forehead distracted us from the rest of the lunch hour noise, the talking and laughing and banging that filled the room. We were in our own world, with Mason going on about blood flow and what causes veins to protrude, and Kylie assuring me that lots of people had the forehead vein thing and that it really wasn't that noticeable. We were so into the conversation that we didn't even see Blake coming up alongside us. I only noticed him when he fell flat on his back next to our table. One moment he was upright, sauntering along with his tray in front of him like he ruled the school. A split second later, he was down on the floor. His tray went up as he fell. An apple catapulted upward as the rest of his food slid downward. In the quickest show of reflexes I've ever seen in my life, Mason reached out and grabbed the apple as it came back down. The whole thing happened in an instant. In shocked silence, I burst out laughing. Blake sat up stunned, his legs sticking out in front of him. He still held onto the tray, but his pizza slice had landed upside down on his lap. Mason jumped up and extended a hand to help him up. "Dude, you okay?" "No, I'm not okay." He was turning red now and looked really pissed off. "Some dumbass spilled something and made me slip." He glared at me like it was my fault. The look on his face struck me as really funny. The more I tried to stop laughing, the worse it got, and now some of the other kids at surrounding tables were laughing too, a few of them clapping and calling out things like, "Way to go, Blake!" "I'm sorry," I said, wiping my eyes. "But the way you went down, and then the apple went up."